Hey, welcome back to Girl Chat Sports. We're on episode 35.
Did you miss us the last few weeks?
I know, it's been forever. Hi, welcome back, you guys. I'm Melissa, one of your hosts here at Girl Chat Sports, and of course with me, the lovely
Stephanie.
Well, it's been a little while. We had a couple holidays. I did an interview with Cecilia Towns, so shout out to Cecilia Towns. We really appreciated that interview. We both had a little bit of a break for the holidays. I know you had some family in town. I went out of town. Lots of sports has transpired in the meantime. But just to catch you guys up, we're going to go shoot through some odds and ends in regards to sports and some bowl games and some NFL. It's playoff time. It's 2017. And we've got some fun stuff at the end of the show. Of course, more arms of the NFL. And we've got some great guests lined up for you for this coming new year.
Sounds good.
Excited, huh?
Yeah.
What have you been up to? I know you had family in town. You kind of just hung out for a little bit. You watched some sports, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's been busy, the holiday season at work, so I've been busy with that. And then my family came to town for about a week, so it was nice hanging out with them and enjoying their company. Didn't watch a whole lot of sports. I was out
Not even
around.
Your Cowboys?
I missed the whole first half of the game the day after Christmas.
Oh my gosh, what kind of fan are you?
Dinner with family was more important.
I hear that. Well, I was in Seattle for the Christmas Eve game, and I was at the game against Arizona. Here's some like back information for all of you. If you know me and if you've been listening to the podcast faithfully, which really appreciate you, I've gone to every losing game of the Seahawks except for the Green Bay game, because who wants to go to Green Bay when it's freaking cold outside? So I went to the Rams game, we lost. I went to the Saints game, we lost. I went to the Arizona game just for Christmas Eve, and we lost. So I've had this streak, and everybody in my family always wonders if I'm at a game because we may lose. So I was at the Arizona game in Seattle, and it was quite the game. It was back and forth the entire game. I mean, it was crazy stuff happening. Curse had a touchdown pass. We were down like 14-3 at half. David Johnson had crazy runs. Our defense was playing all right. Our offense was getting in the groove at times. And we had like a 2-point conversion. I mean, we had all this great stuff happening. Graham caught a touchdown. But with literally 1 minute left, we were tied at 31-31. We had the go-ahead field goal, and we missed it. Hauschka missed a field goal, like a regular field goal. Like we had just scored a touchdown. We could have been up by 1, and momentum could have changed. But no, Hauschka missed the extra point.
I got your Snapchat all excited right before that.
And then somehow, with less than a minute left to go, our defense allows Arizona to come down the field and basically get in field goal range and kick the field goal and score and win 34-31.
Yeah, that was a tough loss for sure.
Granted, we were down by like 12 points for most of the game, so we kind of were already like, this is pretty sucky. I mean, it was Christmas Eve. Fans were leaving. It was, it was kind of sad. But we came back, and it was a great game to come back in. We fell short. And so then I had already prearranged these games. So then for New Year's, I went to San Francisco, or to the Bay Area. I guess it's more like San Jose, Palo Alto, because really Frisco Stadium isn't in Frisco. And we had tickets to the New Year's Eve game against the Niners, which there are no Niners fans currently.
Empty seats.
And against all the wishes of my family and friends who are Seahawks fans as well, to not go to the game, I continued to go. And for, I'd say, the first 3 quarters of the game, I'm getting texts and messages. Melissa, you need to leave. My mom even is like, Melissa, you better get out that stadium. We're going to lose this game. And it's because you're there. My mom is telling me this, along with my cousins that she's making mochi with. I mean, like crazy stuff. So luckily for me and my streak and the year 2017 clearly had it better odds for me. So I kind of feel like 2017 has wiped my slate clean for my bad, for my bad luck charm to the Seahawks, hopefully. So But just for anyone out there, I am not going home to Seattle for the Detroit game. So rest easy, rest assured.
You should go to the game.
No, I'm going to go to the Cowboys game. How about that? When we're not even playing. I'm just going to go there next week for you guys anyway. So anyways, to some football. I'm a little sad.
Why is that?
The regular season has officially ended.
I know.
We only have like literally 1 month of football. Not even good. I mean, yeah, it's going to be great football, but it's like literally 2 games a week for the next 4 weeks. And then we're done.
Then what do we do with our time?
And then we somehow look into, I don't know, I guess I could finally start watching basketball.
We could become hockey fans.
Hockey fans.
We have a team. We have a team.
We're going to become hockey fans, you guys. You heard it here first. Girl Chat Sports. We are going to be, wait, are we the Desert Knights? Golden Knights.
Golden Knights.
See, I already forgot. That's how much of a hockey fan I need to be. So, into football and the NFL. Well, you know, the Cowboys, your guys, have been doing great. You already had secured the first round by I think the first week of September. So, so you know, this last Sunday, you guys didn't really even play your starters. I think Dak did he even have? He might have had like one sequence.
Yeah.
And then Tony had his first debut of the season.
Can we talk about the return of Tony Romo?
Please tell me about Tony Romo.
You know, it was great that they gave him an opportunity to show what he's still got and whatnot. I just wish that they would have played him longer. I still don't think I understand. I feel like the only logical reason that they didn't leave him in longer than they did was because they don't want him to get injured and they really need him to be healthy for a good trade. I just don't get it. Why would they leave Mark Sanchez in the practically whole entire game to lose for us? 2 interceptions. The guy should not be in the league anymore.
Maybe this was like Jerry Jones' tax write-off for the season, for the year. Like, it's almost the end of the year. Let me just make sure that, you know, I give back to the community and get a tax write-off. Let me just give them Mark Sanchez for a game.
I feel like they should have let Romo play a little bit longer. I feel like this would have been an opportunity for him to showcase what he's still made of. And I know that he did. He completed 3 or 4 passes, 29 yards, and he got a touchdown. But I just feel like there was so much more that we could see that he still has it in him. And I just don't understand why they didn't leave him in as long as I would have liked to. But I was cheering for him. I was happy to see him out there, and he was happy, so we lost.
He was happy to not be the water boy anymore.
I just feel like we were robbed of a record. Like, even, you know, winning 14 games would have been great for a lot of people to win that sort of record. I just feel like it's disappointing that we didn't even care.
Well, and for me too, it was almost like watching Ezekiel Elliott. He came so close to breaking the record for rookies rushing yards. And, you know, basically because you've done so well, you've done so great this season, they're going to leave you out because, of course, they don't want you to get injured for the playoffs.
Yeah.
But you were so close.
Yeah, I think it was 178 yards or something like that. Yeah.
That was crazy. So Cowboys have their bye week, so they'll be in the first round bye along with the Atlanta Falcons from the NFC. The AFC bye weeks would be the Patriots and the Chiefs, which amazingly, you know, the Chiefs hadn't started off so great this season, but next thing you know, bam, we got a first round bye, basically because the Raiders lost their quarterback.
Right. Another team that shouldn't be in the playoffs, the Dolphins. What happened? How are the Dolphins? I think they're in the playoffs for the first time in
since like the 80 or 8 years, I don't know. I
think it's 15 years or something crazy like that.
Dan Marino-esque-ish, maybe.
Yeah,
I can't believe that the Dolphins are in there either. I mean, it's funny because they were just on Hard Knocks maybe a few seasons ago. So you're pretty shitty when you're on Hard Knocks. I mean, you're kind of like the up-and-coming team usually. So, hey, more props to them. But here's the deal. It's the AFC. And the AFC, especially the AFC South, like, that division just really, it doesn't have a lot of pack to it. Unlike the NFC was kind of a hard struggle this year. It's like these guys are, you know, Seattle got kicked out the first round bye because we lost to Arizona, and then Atlanta goes in, and Atlanta's had a kind of an up and down season as well. But, you know, when you still are a defensive coordinator, you know, that's what happens, I guess. Thanks, Dan Quinn, for leaving and going and having a new team. Anyway, I'm a little bit sour still, okay? So the Seahawks, we just regrouped over them. They had a couple tough games, but they did come up with one, so that was good. We will be playing the Detroit Lions in the first round at home in Seattle on Saturday. You know, having football on Saturday is like good and bad. Like, it gives me a reason just to be lazy again for the day, but then I'm going to be lazy again for both days in the weekend when I need to get stuff done.
So the general consensus is that the Seahawks will not be winning the Super Bowl. Their running game is in shambles.
It is not something to write home about. However, I do have faith. Hopefully, our running game might just be Russell Wilson, to be honest.
You're ranked 25th in the league.
Well, technically, we're still in the playoffs, so we had to get in the top 12 at some point. Or 14, sorry. Anyways, we'll just see how you feel with your playoffs when you get killed. When you get killed. I mean, that's my comeback because I'm still so sour. But you know what's hilarious? Not hilarious. So we can talk about the best luck of the year because Michael Floyd, Arizona Cardinals wide receiver. I actually drafted him in my fantasy league, which all my fantasy leagues sucked ass this year. But we'll get back to that. He had a DUI. In Arizona, got caught. I don't know if you guys have probably watched it on TMZ or on social media. He's literally passed out in his car at a stoplight, gets a DUI, his second one. He got his first one in college, and immediately gets dropped from the Cardinals. It happened Monday, Wednesday, he's no longer employed with the Cardinals. Oh, and guess what happens?
The Patriots.
The best team in the AFC come knocking and pick you up the very next hour. Like, literally, you were dropped at 1 minute by a team that's not even in the playoffs, and then next minute, you're going into the playoffs with the Patriots.
I feel like they've gotten advantage with him. He had serious good moves the last couple of games, or last game with him. He had a touchdown catch, which he powered through like 4 or 5 Dolphin defenders. Like, I watched the replay over and over, and he plowed through like 4 or 5 Dolphins to get into the end zone. It was just crazy.
Leave it to Bill. Bill's got the plan.
Yeah, and then he blocked somebody to help Julian Edelman get a 77-yard touchdown.
Oh, yeah. Edelman had a great run that one.
Have a great advantage with this guy right now.
Yeah, unfortunately for fortunately for the Patriots, he gets to play out this season, whereas next season he'll probably be benched and suspended for a few games.
Speaking of suspended, Randy Gregory.
Uh-oh.
He's been with us for the last
Cowboys.
2 regular season games, and he apparently missed a drug test. He was suspended for a year. And so he had to go before the appeal, or he had to appeal his suspension. So they talked to him yesterday about it, and now it's up to Roger Goodell on whether or not he is going
Good
to
old big
continue to
Raj.
play.
Raj G in the house. Good old Raj G.
He parted with his agent recently before the hearing. He may have to have a year-long suspension. So we are waiting to hear what Goodell has to say, but we would love to hear what he has to say after we win the Super Bowl with Randy Gregory.
Speaking of Super Bowl, does it not seem odd to anybody else in this country or in the world that the Broncos and the Panthers, both teams that were in the Super Bowl last year, are no longer even in the playoffs?
Sad, really.
Like, didn't even make the playoffs. Not at all.
I just was looking to see who everybody favors to win the Super Bowl, and I've got the rankings here. Number 1, the Pats. 2, the Cowboys. 3, Steelers. 4, Falcons. 5, Packers. 6, Seahawks.
Hey, you know, I think when we won the Super Bowl, no one favored us to win. Just so you remember that. Just to remember that piece. A little tidbit of information.
As did anybody with us when Romo went down.
Yeah, well, they didn't expect you guys to win with Romo anyway. It kind of worked out in your favor.
I guess we could thank you for that one.
And also in news over the last 2 weeks, so there's a couple things that we wanted to, just touch on real quick. The Browns won a game. So they did not go 0-16. They went 1-16.
No perfect season.
No perfect season. So the Browns actually won a game.
So the Browns owners, Jimmy and Dee Haslam, apologized to their fans for putting them through the worst season in franchise history. They wrote a letter and apologized and said that they're still in full support of Coach Hugh Jackson and the head of football operations.
Are they still in favor of RG3?
They're going to get 2 first-round draft picks, number 1 and number 12.
Well, they probably need to get 2 quarterbacks because the way they go through quarterbacks in Cleveland is like Kleenex in my office.
I noticed that they had done, the people that were doing the perfect season parade had done a Browns quarterback advent calendar, if you will, during Christmas time.
I can totally see that happening. In other sad news, I guess, there is currently 6 vacancies as NFL coaches. So if any of you guys out there have experience coaching, I don't know, your Pop Warner team or Little League, the Bills, the Niners, the Broncos, Chargers, Jaguars, and Rams all need your help.
Yeah, well, the Broncos too, perhaps. I don't know who's replacing Gary
Well, in the
Kubiak.
Broncos, actually, I think the only ones that actually had a winning record. So, congrats. That's probably, I think, the most coveted opening that's out there. But it should be interesting to see. I really am anticipating the Rams coaching change because hopefully that helps out, like, Todd Gurley. This is a great athlete who just really wasn't able to explode this season, I think, due to some of the coaching issues and management issues. So, it'll be interesting what happens in the offseason. So we'll see about that. Also, Steve Smith Jr. retired. The Ravens season is over. He basically mentioned a couple weeks ago that he was going to retire after the season. Well, they didn't make the playoffs. And there was just some, touching little stories about him. And he was on Mike and Mike earlier, I think, today or yesterday. And I think he has a great potential in broadcasting because he sounded great. He looked great. He's always been a cutie pie.
Man, 16 years. And you know what? Actually, he ranked 7th in NFL's all-time list for receiving yards, so that's a good record to retire with. He said, I know when it's over, it's done, and now is my time.
Speaking of done, Adrian Peterson in Minnesota. So the big news was that Adrian Peterson was coming back in week 15, and then by week 17, he was gone. Done. There was no more. So we had like a few weeks in this season, which also affected my fantasy football. And this could be the end, they're saying, of him in Minnesota.
I read an article that said that he wants to retire with them, and he feels like he still has another year in him, but he would have to take a pay cut to stay.
Well, I think he could probably come to Seattle.
I just heard that they were interested.
I would be totally fine with that.
They would be interested
if only we had, but being that big, he wouldn't need as much of an offensive line, and that helps our situation out a little bit. So we got some other things going on with quarterback issues.
Man, whether they like it or not, the fate of the Texans rests in Brock Osweiler.
The $72 million man.
They bench him.
Yeah.
And then Tom Savage suffered a concussion in the regular season final, and so now
which is crazy because he actually did good when they benched Osweiler, and now he has to come back.
And then the Raiders.
Ugh, Derek Carr. Ugh, poor guy. And poor Raider. Here's the deal. I'm not a Raiders hater. I actually have friends that are Raiders fans. And it's just so, they had such a great season. They were literally, they could have had that first round bye and taken it from the Chiefs. They easily could have had that bye. But after losing, now they're playing for the first round, just like we are, or the Seahawks. But yeah, so Derek Carr's out. And who do they have coming in?
The rookie, Connor Cook.
Like, I literally saw his name. I was like, who is this guy? I don't know him.
He had a good college career in Michigan State and earned a reputation for playing well in big games.
So I know all those Spartan fans are out there cheering, hopefully. And I noticed he's kind of a cutie pie. I Googled his picture.
Seen him.
Yeah, you might want to Google that. He kind of has like a Ken, very Barbie and Ken look to him.
Oh,
California dreaming.
Yeah, you know what? He's going to become the first quarterback in the Super Bowl era whose first start came in a playoff game.
That is
Talk about the pressure being
crazy.
on.
Well, it's funny because him and Dak are both 4th round rookie quarterbacks that'll be starting in the playoffs, which hasn't happened, I think they said, since the NFL AFL merger, which is before ancient times, pretty much.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh. Any other new football or NFL news for us before we catch the commercials?
I think
that's it. So we're going to come back from commercial, touch up a little bit on the bowl games, the 500 of them that took place over the holidays, and then we'll get into a little bit of other sports, arms of the NFL, and discuss some of the upcoming guests we have for Girl Chat Sports.
Palmer Alexander for the In the Zone Sports Show. Want to tell you about our sponsor at Gossip Pasta. Now she's at a new location at 291 Chesterfield Mall Food Court. She's open 7 days a week. Make sure you get in on all of the goodness. And don't forget the food is made with a bunch of love. Only at Gossip Pasta. The food's so good, it'll make you say, Shatorta, give it to him, Queen.
Hey, I'm Kiana with Gossip Pastas, and when I'm in the lab, I'm always in the zone.
All right, and welcome back. Shout out to End the Zone Show, our guy Palmer Alexander, also Arlington Lane, who always are holding us down, always supporting Girl Chat Sports, and we support you guys at End the Zone and the Zone Network. So back real quick to a little college football. So it was like bowl game mania the last 2 weeks. I mean, every bowl game from here to Chatham-Mizzou or whatever you want to call it. I mean, we've had like literally 500 of them go on. Some of these bowls I've never even heard of before. Like there was the Camellia Bowl. There's a Poinsettia Bowl. There's the Dollar General Bowl. My thing is that next year, Steph, I need to go to the Bahamas Bowl.
Exactly.
The Miami Beach Bowl, the Boca Raton Bowl.
We don't care who's playing either.
We don't even care who's playing. I just want to go. That's it. So out of the 500 bowl games that were on, there was like literally 8 that people paid attention to, unless you were a diehard fan of Appalachian State or Colorado State or Miami, Ohio, or Vanderbilt. Who knew Vanderbilt really actually had a football team? But so we had the Orange Bowl, which Florida State won by 1 point over Michigan. The Citrus Bowl, LSU killed Louisville. The Fiesta Bowl, which Clemson killed Ohio State. Like Ohio State, this is the Ohio State that we know so well. Didn't even score.
A goose egg.
Did not even score. I'm not one to talk. My Huskies, they went hard. They played in the Peach Bowl against Alabama Roll Tide, and we lost 24-7. You know, Washington had our defense was amazing. However, you know, I don't think the score basically shows how great our defense was doing, because literally two of their touchdowns were from like pick sixes, basically. And our offense was just not in it. So it seemed kind of like Jake Browning was just scared of Alabama, which I probably would be too, because those are some big boys. But he wasn't really in it. So sad but true is that Washington has about 5 guys so far that'll be heading off to the draft. They're not even, I think they're juniors this year. So it's kind of sad that we won't be able to have them again next year. But when you got to go for the money, and football is not going to last forever, you got to just go when you can, I guess. So,
did you watch the Rose Bowl?
I did watch the Rose Bowl.
Oh my gosh, what a game.
Crazy game. A lot of Penn State fans were trying to make this out to be the reason why they should have been in the college football playoffs. They actually lost at the very last second, basically, 52-49.
I just feel like they got greedy. They just didn't want to tie, and they took a risk and threw an interception.
And what's crazy is this was the highest Rose Bowl game in history. It was 52-49. What's even more, there was a meme that was like, I want to say that because, USC Coliseum is where the Rams play. And so they basically said that in one game between USC and Penn State, basically they outscored the Rams in the entire season.
With the freshman quarterback, USC.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he almost broke a record, 3 yards shy of the Rose Bowl record. He threw for 453 yards and 5 touchdowns.
So needless to say, the holidays are not only good for food, they're also good for football. It's like food, football, and just relaxation. Good times, good times. So that's our little college break. Me and Steph go pretty hard on football. And so now that football is slowly dwindling down, we're going to have to start setting our sights on hockey, as well as basketball, and getting back into a little bit of college hoops. I actually looked up the top 25 right now in men's college hoops and was surprised by some of the names that I haven't seen really up there in a while. Like Xavier was in the top 25, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, and in Indiana, which I know Indiana's been there a lot, but it just seemed different. Some of the names I hadn't seen for a while, but of course Gonzaga's up there, UCLA is up there, Kansas, Baylor, Villanova, Duke. I was surprised only 8. Usually they're up in that top 4. St. Mary's is actually in it, and then we also have USC is in it. and Purdue. So we'll kind of keep an eye open for some more of the college news and hoops. I know they've had some great games, so we'll have to keep and check them out.
In NBA news,
Man.
Russell Westbrook may average a triple-double this season.
He's managed, I mean, I know in December he had 50. I don't even know how many he has now. I want to say probably like 55. I know him and James Harden are like this crazy duo of triple-double stars. I knew James Harden was great, and last year he did good, but I didn't know the magnitude of, like, he basically has lifted the Houston Rockets up on his own.
Yeah, I feel like, Westbrook had his chance to shine now that he's the star, so he's really doing well. In other news, Sixers' Ben Simmons will be back soon, actually this month. He fractured his foot during the first week of training camp, and I guess Joel Embiid has been doing his thing for the Sixers, but it'll nice to see him back. And
let's see if he changes anything, because, I mean, he was their first-round draft pick last year because they suck so bad, and this year they still suck. They literally are the second worst team in their division or in their conference, so they're one above Brooklyn Nets. They have 9 wins in the entire season, so they're looking to be another. I guess they're looking to be one of the next, having another top draft pick, it sounds like, because they're doing crappy again.
Yeah, so same situation with the Lakers. We've got a young team.
I swear we were having this Lakers conversation like a month ago, and the Lakers were on fire, and they were doing so well.
We have been losing games. We are 13-25. I know that Jim Buss said that previously he'd resign if the Lakers aren't contending after this season, and they won't. So we'll see if Jeanie holds him to it. Speaking of Jeanie Buss. Her and Phil Jackson have been together for 17 years, engaged, and they broke
I hadn't even
up.
realized it had been that long.
I think that, honestly, the reason that they got engaged was because Jerry's health was failing. And I think he just wanted to show him, that I'll take care of her, that I just feel like...
As if the multi-billionaire couldn't take care of herself. But
I feel like distance really made that hard. He's in New York now. She's still in LA. I just think that it was too hard for them to, with their busy schedules and lives, to really spend that much time together. I kind of feel like it might have been a little bit of conflict of interest. They literally had to sign some kind of contract between the two of them in order to basically prove that they wouldn't talk business with one another.
That's crazy.
If they got married. So, I don't know if it was completely mutual. It was a very strange tweet that came out by Phil Jackson, and then Jeanie retweeted it. What a great way to announce.
What else I find interesting is that I hadn't noticed this in previous years, but now the NBA has their own power rankings, just like they do for NFL. They do it for the NBA, which I hadn't realized before. Obviously, the Cavaliers, the Warriors, the Rockets, Spurs, Raptors. But Celtics are 6, the Grizzlies are 7, Thunder are still 8, and the Jazz are number 9. And the Charlotte Hornets are number 10. Like, I didn't even realize that the Jazz and Hornets were even, like, doing that great. So, congrats to those teams. I'd also seen a funny meme that I think I have to repost one day that was about basically, like, I hope that the Kevin Durant in your life leaves so that you, too, can blossom like Russell Westbrook. Like, I totally get that. Like, good for him. I still think he could use some better fashion advice, but hey, what do I know? On to something else that's kind of not near and dear to our hearts, basically, but, we are in Las Vegas. It is, like, the MMA capital of the world. There was a huge fight this last weekend. Ronda Rousey fight at the UFC 207 versus Amanda Nunes. What kills me about this is that I didn't watch it because I didn't pay for the fight. Thank God I didn't. None of my friends, were hosting parties. But the fact that this fight was able to be seen on Instagram video, that just shows you how 48 seconds and the fight was called.
I think that she knew that something that she potentially might have been not strong enough to beat her. This whole media blackout thing where she didn't want to... I think, because her personality. She was always mean-mugging and, like, tough girl. And I just think that, like, because she got beat last time, she kind of had to swallow her pride a little bit. And I feel like if she would have just revved herself up before this fight and then lost, it would have been even worse. So, I mean, I just feel like that was the reason she didn't want to do all the media and whatnot beforehand. I don't know. She's still gonna, set a record. She's a pioneer, if you will.
Yeah, in the women's MMA fighting, I guess. The thing for me was that she was known for being like an MMA fighter, like grappling, getting down on the ground. And the way that this fight started was literally just stand-up boxing, and she's not a boxer. And I think that's what kind of took some fans, kind of odd, is that why is she trying to fight when she's not really a boxer? Why isn't she trying to, get her on the ground? I think that's how she won a lot of her other fights. But the bottom line here is $3 million. That's how much she got paid to fight for 45 seconds. Listen, you can knock me out once and I'll do it for half the money. I'll do it for 10% of that. Give me $300,000. Because literally, Amanda Nunes, I think, got maybe between $200,000 and $300,000 total. So you can just see how that played out.
Rousey hasn't won in like 17 months or something like that. I'm pretty sure that her career is over.
Yeah, I'd say it's done. So that's interesting. So trying to wrap up a little bit of our show here today. Some interesting news that I thought was funny while I was at the 49ers game, because the game was Sunday on New Year's Day. New Year's Eve, all the alerts that I was getting on my apps, the Bleacher Report and ESPN, was basically that the Niners are going to fire Chip Kelly. The Niners are going to fire Chip Kelly. How is it that you can go into a game the next day when everybody knows you're about to get fired and still coach the entire game and be there for your team and then get fired? It's like, are you going to go to work when you know you're about to get fired from work?
Man.
Is that one extra payday
I don't know
really
how much work
worthwhile?
would get done.
Oh, man. So shout out to Chip Kelly for being a good sport and working on his day that he got fired.
Man, did you hear about Pac-Man Jones?
Here's the deal. Pac-Man's had a pretty steamy past, and so for all those new NFL fans, all those new people that don't really know much about him, maybe I thought that Adam Pac-Man Jones is like a pretty good guy. Well, no. What happened this time?
So he was in the Millennium Hotel in Cincinnati, and he was beating on different hotel room doors. So security approached him, and he pushed him, he poked him in the eye, he headbutted him, kicked him. Oh, no, that was the police. When the police came, he kicked and headbutt the police, resisted arrest. They took him to the slammer. They were trying to do like routine tests. He spit on the nurse. He's got felony charge of harassment with bodily substance, misdemeanor charges of assault, disorderly conduct, obstructing official business, and even charged with the harassment with a bodily substance for spitting on a nurse.
When I first saw bodily substance, I was like, oh my God, what did he do? You never know with Adam. You never know with Mr. Pac-Man Jones. So, that was interesting. I didn't really have like an awe moment for this show, but what was awe to me, and even as a Cowboy hater, I still have to genuinely awe whenever I see Ezekiel Elliott's abs. So what I've noticed in this sequential order of games, when you've shown him after the game with like a little cutoff shirt, little crop top, I guess you could say, like in a woman's fashion, I've noticed this tank top thing, shirt, crop top has significantly gotten smaller. Like it was like just cut right above his abs. You could see his abs and you could see his arms. And the last, I think like maybe 2 weeks ago when they showed him exchanging jerseys with another guy, he literally had like thin threading of a t-shirt covering him. It looked more like a sports bra.
Why wear a shirt at all?
That's what I'm saying. Zeke, take it all off. I mean, just please, take it all off. Pants included for that matter, shit. I don't care. I mean, if you want to get... So that's my awe moment, because I'm a girl, and even though we love sports, we can still act like women and act like girls and still find men attractive, because that's just what we do.
That's what we do.
Speaking of which... Arms of the NFL. This week's arms are a little bit in dedication to those that are in the playoffs this week. So first off, we have Jadeveon Clowney. He's a defensive end for the Texans, number 90. This guy is arms. I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard his name before. He is an awesome defender, and his arms are ridiculous. Speaking of great defenders, it's a guy that I used to love incredibly, and he still holds a great place in my heart. Bruce Irvin, previous Seattle Seahawks, current Oakland Raider. He is a linebacker for the Raiders, number 51. Him and Mac are ridiculous on the Raiders defense, and I wish them nothing but great things come playoffs. And for a little throwback, I've got Jason Taylor. He was a defensive end linebacker, number 99, mainly for the Miami Dolphins during his years. This may have been the last time the Dolphins were in the playoffs.
Could have been, for sure.
And so to wrap up, you guys, we just wanted to say thank you for always joining us and being part of, our listening audience. Feel free to reach out to us always on social media. We'll get to those tags in a second, but we got some great guests coming up for Girl Chat. We basically have them coming every week for the next few weeks because it is playoffs. It is some good battles we got going on. Next week we got Reggie from Franchise Sports. He'll be here. Also in the future we'll have Tierra Dobbins, who is a contributor for NFL.com. We've got Les Leone, who's the owner for Envision for You Concierge. Big Mike from the One Mike with Big Mike podcast, as well as Jessica Ward, who is a diehard college sports fan as well. So I'm excited to hear some more of our guests, and I know you will be too. So make sure you check us out at GirlChatSports on all social media, Instagram, Twitter. Check us out on Facebook, and you're welcome to find me, Melissa, at Seattle, 4_life. So at Seattle4Life.
And you can find me, Stephanie, at S_wash.
We would love to hear from you. Also, send us out an email if you would like at Melissa or Stephanie at GirlChatSports.com. We can't wait to catch you guys again next week. Please stay tuned, and we can't wait to catch up with our first guest, Reggie from Franchise Sports. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out another great episode of Girl Chat Sports. And remember, we don't have balls, but we know how to cover them. Until next time, guys.